2017 was the year of Nintendo, and they gave us some of the greatest gifts to ever grace gaming. They dominated the sales charts, they dominated the headlines, and they dominated the conversations. Many people and many reporters took the time to talk about how this device changed their lives for the better, and how it made them gamers again. But today we're going to talk about one segment or one demographic that it impacted the most, but not a lot of people are talking about. Yeah, you may hear some stories here and there about how everything changed once they got this device in their hands, but no one has really dived into it and really taken a look at why the Nintendo Switch has changed family lives for the better. Why is it that this device with these detachable controllers have made parents hardcore gamers again? So let's begin with talking about gaming as an adult. It pretty much sucks. When you have a full-time job and a significant other and or kids, trying to find even 2-3 hours to get in a decent gaming session feels near impossible. When I started really getting hit with life, once I got my kids, once I was knee-deep in a full-time job, I would feel lucky if I got to do 2 hours of gaming, at 11 o'clock at night. And then that would cause me to wake up tired the next day, and then it would just be a really crappy cycle. Up until that point, being a gamer as an adult, or at the very least being a parent gamer, it sucked. And it just felt somewhat exclusive. Yes, you could play games with your kids and your family and all that, but you either were relegated to those quote-unquote family-friendly games, which, let's be honest, are not as fun as they may advertise, or, you had to try to kind of force a game that you wanted to play onto your family or significant other. Now, of course, Nintendo games are always the exception to this, but that's kind of a given, and we're going to kind of talk about that more later. There were a couple things that did help, though. The PS Vita helped show that, gamers wanted console-quality games and graphics on the go. They wanted something that felt akin to, playing a AAA PS3 or a PS4 game. But the Vita, along with the Nintendo 3DS, had one big problem. It was still a singular console. It was still just you playing, and the only way to get other people involved was for either you to buy them a console or they had to have their own. So if you wanted to do something like play Animal Crossing with your family, you would have to buy them their own 3DSs, and then you would have to buy them their own copies of Animal Crossing. It wasn't something as simple as sharing the game. So what's life like in a post-Switch world, and how has this little device changed our lives? So first off, a lot of us play a lot more games. I don't think any of us truly realize how much of an impact being able to game at, 10-minute intervals would really have. It's insane. Being able to just pick up the Switch, the ability to just do a quick Mario Kart race, do a quick game of Splatoon, do a quick Pokken fight, and then just put it away and keep going on with your day, it's insane. And it started out with all these Nintendo IPs, and then all these other bigger companies are like, hey, wait a minute, I'm gonna bring my game too, and I'm gonna bring my game too. And then out of nowhere, we started getting these releases, these ports, these reboots, whatever you want to call them. But then all these games started coming out, all these companies started jumping, and they said, we see the value in this too, Nintendo. We want to be a part of your money-making fun machine. It just doesn't feel like there's any better time to be a gamer right now. And that doesn't even touch on the impact that it's had on my family so far. My oldest daughter is 4, she just started picking up her first controller, and initially we did have some issues with her learning how to use a controller because she's so accustomed to touchscreens, which is a video I'll probably do sometime in the future. Hashtag click subscribe for more videos like this. Once my daughter learned the concept of a controller, she just fell in love with gaming instantly. And now I get to share those experiences with her. I get to guide her in this world. I get to teach her all the things that I taught myself because my parents weren't into gaming. And one can argue that, yeah, I could have done that with my PlayStation 4, I could have done that with my PC, but let's be honest, not at the same capacity. It's not like I could have given my daughter Gran Turismo 4 and told her, hey, let's play a racing game together. I can do that with Mario Kart 8 and the assist mode. I can't give my daughter a game like Splunky and expect her to have fun and expect her to be able to keep up with the platform platforming. But I can give her a game like Kirby where if she plays Kirby, she can just float over the entire level while I take care of business down below. People like to harp on Nintendo's easy modes and their assist modes or kids modes or whatever you want to call it, but there's a good reason why they're there. There's a good reason why they keep putting it in there. And I used to be one of those people that started making fun of those modes and thought that Nintendo was basically just catering the kids until I had my own. Nintendo may have made a lot of missteps when it came to hardware, but they knew what they were doing for games, and they spent the entirety of the Wii U's life cycle cultivating it and perfecting so that when it came out for the Switch, it just worked perfectly. It just worked. Now couple that along with, as I mentioned earlier, all these games that are on the platform now, and I can do something as awesome and as simple as play a couple rounds of Bayonetta by myself, do a couple levels, and then switch over, play some Kirby with my daughter, record it for a Let's Play or record it for YouTube later, and then that evening just pull out the Switch and then me and my wife can play some Overcooked after the kids go to sleep. I can do that all with the same console that I can take anywhere in my house, and with the same controller so I don't have to keep track of where they are. I don't have to put some away and then pull them out later and have to deal with all that. It's all right there. The Switch has made it so easy to just find an excuse to play 5 or 10 minutes of a video game. The Switch has made it so easy for me to go from a quote-unquote hardcore game to something that is easier for my kids to enjoy and something that I can play with them and have it all up and running within 2 minutes. The Switch has made gaming even more accessible to my wife, who isn't a hardcore gaming, but has always had a bit of an interest in it. And now I can start showing her more and more games that I know are up her alley, that I know she'll fall in love with, and she can start seeing why I'm so passionate about gaming as well. The Nintendo Switch has changed how everything operates now. The Nintendo Switch has changed how we game now. And on top of that, the Nintendo Switch has already started the process of changing the future. And that, my friends, brings us to the last segment of today's video. So what can we see going forward in a post-Switch world? What are we going to see different from game developers and publishers? What are we going to see different in the next generation of games? And what are we going to see different in the next generation of gamers and families? First off, if it hasn't started already, we're due for another indie revolution. With the success of games like Golf Story, Stardew Valley, and Celeste, I think we will see more game companies pushing more and more money and promotional dollars into indie games. There is still a huge market, and the fact that a lot of these are perfect for the on-the-go gameplay that the Switch brings, it's only going to go up from here. I also expect to see more cross-generational promotion. A good example of this would be the commercial that Square did for the City of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. It was a live-action trailer that compromised of 3 generations of one family and how Final Fantasy connected them all together. To be quite honest, this one resonated with me quite a bit because, this is what this channel is all about. This is what my gaming mission is all about, and this is what I think that gaming is going to start looking like going forward. As I said before, we have a whole generation of gamers, probably in my opinion the first generation of gamers that were completely raised on video games, and we are just now having kids and we are just now starting the next generation. So I completely believe that we're going to start seeing more ads like this going forward and more advertising that is geared towards this way. And the last thing I think that we'll see more companies do, which has already been going on, I think we'll just see it taken to the nth degree now, is updates and reboots of older and classic games. So we already had Crash Bandicoot, that was a huge success. Secret of Mana, but it happened, so we're adding it to the list. There's always the rumors about Spyro. And on top of that, we have all of the older games that are updated from the Wii U and older titles that are also coming to the Switch. So we have, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, we have Mario Tennis, we inevitably are going to have, probably another Mario Party and another Mario Golf. So we'll be able to share those experiences with our kids, and we'll be able to at least have, some updated mechanics, updated gameplay, and we'll have less jank to deal with. Next, and I think the part that will be the most interesting with this next one, is the fact that on top of the fact that we're going to have the next generation of gamers that were raised with video games, these games are also at a point now where they can learn not just real world lessons of science and math and technology and engineering, but they can also learn life lessons as well, and stuff that they can actually incorporate into not just the way that they interact with others, but the way that they interact with themselves. For example, everyone knows Minecraft is basically a STEM and STEAM sandbox on the go. It's weird for me to think about this game that I played in college, this beta that I got for less than $10, blew up into the thing that it became. And at the same time, I love it. I love that they have, a science version, they have a classroom version. I love that it's now intricate enough that my kid can pick it up and learn all these things, and at the same time, I can sit next to them and I can learn with them and I can teach them things as well. On top of that, there's also, Kirby Superstar Saga, a cute, fun, easy platformer, but it teaches kids about friendship and cooperation and beating up bad guys. And on top of that, it's a simple platformer. So mechanically, that means that you're gonna have a kid that's starting to learn how platformers work. If you look at a lot of mobile games nowadays, they don't really copy the same mechanics that you learned when you played video games. So because of that, learning these types of games become harder for younger kids unless they just played video games and never spent any time in a tablet or any type of mobile app. And in my opinion, Bayonetta is easily the best female role model in gaming. The perfect woman to look up to for anyone. She's a character who's in complete control of her sexuality. She's just a very confident character overall. She knows that she isn't perfect and she doesn't care. This is especially emphasized over the story of the second game. And you know what? She loves who she is and she doesn't care what anyone else thinks. And it was also refreshing in the fact that, there was the man chasing her the whole time during her game. And actually, wait, you know what? We're just going to save this for a different video. Hold on, let me go get some paper. Well, we're saving this for a different video. Alright, moving on. So anyways, for my last point, now let me start off by saying I'm not telling you to let your kids play mature rated games, but if you were, maybe let them play Dark Souls. And not just to watch the look in their eyes as they start learning about the crushing realities of life itself, but more so the opposite of that. Think about it like this. The first time you played Dark Souls, it was probably the scariest thing in your life. You had no idea what to do, you were taking 5 minutes to go down a hallway, and every time you saw an enemy, you thought it was just a life or death experience. And then you started making mistakes, and then you learned from those mistakes, and then you realized, wait a minute, I can actually do this. And then you killed your first boss, and then you started noticing the secret things around the cities, and then you realized, oh my god, this is just a game and I can actually beat it. Games like Dark Souls can teach us a lot about ourselves. It can teach us that we are strong. It can teach us about the determination we have within ourselves. It can teach us that we should never ever give up, and it can also teach us to have really good attention to detail. To take a little bit more time to look at the details of something that we pick up, not just pick it up and use it or whatever. It can teach us to, look around our environment, look around our surroundings, because we might notice something that we wouldn't have the first time around. That's the value of these games. And Nintendo brought all of that onto something that we can take with us on the go, something that we can pop off a controller and share it with others, something that will last us for potentially a whole console generation. And it's all in this one tiny device. Nintendo has changed gaming for the better. We are about to enter the next golden age of gaming. And I, for one, am so excited about that. And all I can say is thank you, Nintendo. Thank you for this. I am now a hardcore gamer again because of the Nintendo Switch. Alright guys, so there you have it. That is my first video essay. Let me know what you think. Let's start a discussion down below. Do you think that Nintendo is ushering in a new age of gaming? What do you think about this generation gap that I see closing? Do you think it's there? And what do you think the future of gaming looks like? So let's start a discussion. And really quick, you can always find me on Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, and I'm always available, and I also have a Discord too that, I'll link down below. So anyways, don't forget to click like and subscribe. Don't forget to ding dong bell, and yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Have a good one. Peace.